From Monday to Tuesday, you don't have any fun. From Wednesday to Thursday, just gonna have for a run. Friday and Saturday, you always getting drunk. And Sunday, you stay at home and never go to church.
All right, my night outers. That was Whiskey Fire. Name of that song was War and Glory. This is DJ Psycho Eddie. You're listening to My Night Out Radio only on rifreeradio.org. Yes, I'm already stammering. It's already been a hell of a week, and it's only Monday. But we have a full house tonight. To my right, we have Mr. George Gorner.
Good evening.
Across the table from me, we have Chuckles the Clown.
I'm spacing out right now. I don't know why.
And on the soundboard, making a sound oh so wonderful, Mr. Tony Jones.
And we have a full fat house because catering was provided tonight.
Yeah, that's part of my my negotiations to go to a Monday night.
Part of your contract?
Yeah, I got to feed them, and they're going to put an extra zero in my paycheck. So, this past weekend, the thing that rendered me as useless or even more useless than I normally am was Comic-Con. That's right, Rhode Island Comic-Con, 3 days of all things pop culture and nerdism. And I got to tell you, I fit right in, and I had a blast. Now, most people, Friday, Saturday, whatever, they went down. The show started at 3 o'clock. So, true to form, I was down in Providence by 11 o'clock in the morning.
Damn.
Because I needed to get me a few cocktails. I also needed to get a little food in me because the night before was long, and I didn't have breakfast because I knew I was getting up late, and I'll stop making excuses for myself. But first stop on my tour of Providence before Comic-Con was Viva Mexico on Washington Street, right there in downtown Providence. Now, I've been by it 100 times. It's one of those places where it looks too clean. You know, you have to have that little bit of challenge, that little bit of...
Especially for a Mexican place.
Yeah, it has to be a little disheveled in order for it to be really good, which is luckily not the case. Now, I went in, I had a couple of cervezas. They're not supporting me, so I'm not telling you what kind of beer I drank, but I just say I had a few. I had to have something to go with that, so I had a burrito. The burrito Viva Mexico, which has the pico de gallo, it's got the guacamole, the rice, the refry, everything's in the burrito. It was excellent. However, when it came to choice of meats, I always go for the weird stuff. I ended up having a goat burrito. They call it barbacoa to European it up a little, but it's what it breaks down to is goat.
Well, goats are okay, except, in a burrito, a goat is okay. You don't want to try to eat a goat in any other way because it's all bones and tendons and skin.
Well,
There's very little meat on a goat.
Well, the meat that's on a goat is very stringy to boot.
Right.
So, that's when Fat Bastard kicked in. After I had my burrito and I think about my third or fourth beer, I needed something else to munch on, and they have the little tacos. I mean, they're barely 3.5, 4 inches across. A little bit of cabbage, a little bit of a dressing to it, and a little bit of meat. Of course, I went right for the weird again. Tripe, tripa, cow stomach.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
I had one tripe, one lingua, which is a tongue, and one goat because the goat was just that good.
Well, now, how was the tripe? That's my question because I know Tony, don't calm down.
Don't poo-poo the tripe.
Now, I grew up in an Italian family on my father's side, and so I'm familiar with tripe. What I know about tripe, though, is it's kind of like calamari. It's very easy to screw up. In other words...
You either cook it very fast or very slow.
Okay.
In this case, they grilled it, so it was a very fast char, a quick char, not a heavy char, just a little bit. And it actually was really good with the seasoning they put on it. They didn't try to hide the fact that it was what it was. It was chopped up small. So, I mean, if you got a chewy part, it wasn't going to choke you or anything. But it was really good. I actually surprised myself with that. I like tripe anyways. And yes, grew up Italian as well. Both sides.
I have to agree with Tony.
Okay, well... That was only my first stop.
That was technically breakfast, right?
Well, breakfast, brunch, whatever you want to call it. Well, then I started making my way towards the convention center, but still, it was, I was only there for like an hour and a half. So I had to stop.
It's still only noontime.
Yeah, it's noontime. Now it's time for lunch. So I stopped where everyone should stop, Murphy's Pub,
Yep.
right on, I can't even think of the name of the street now.
Murphy's is awesome.
Oh, right on Empire Street, right? It's right on.
Empire goes east and west. This one goes north. I think it's Fountain Street. Fountain Street.
Okay.
We'll call it Fountain. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Anyways, Irish Pub, New York Deli, and American Grill.
See, that's more like it.
Yeah. I mean, I had already pretty much filled up, but after a couple more beers, again, I'm not going to tell you what I had because no one's paying me for it. However, you have that hankering, and I wanted something a little different. So I had the Reuben egg roll. It comes 3 to an order with a almost like a Thousand Island dressing dipping sauce. I burned my lip. It was so fresh, so hot, so juicy, and they were really good. And with a few more beers, they went down quite nicely. Again, fast forward another hour and a half. I got to come a little closer to the convention center where I ended up.
Yeah, almost there.
I'm almost there. Almost directly, I actually saw the convention center from my last stop, which was Trinity Brew House.
Oh, yeah.
Right up the street from, Murphy's. And literally directly across from the main entrance to the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
And in all my years and years of painstaking research, some of the best nachos around.
Well, that I did not eat there. At that point, if I ate anything else, I was going to probably
You're going to turn into tripe.
Yeah, well, it was. Don't knock the tripe, man. Try it. I'll take you there. Me and you will go. We'll get you a nice little tripe taco.
I think I'd have to lose a bet.
Anyways, I did go to Trinity Brew House. Couple of beers there. The culture was very good. Their red was excellent. Things were sketchy after that because there was a shot or two mixed in. And by then it was 2 o'clock in time for me to head over to the convention center.
Yep.
So as I'm crossing the street very carefully because, well, the lines were kind of blending, I looked down and I could see the line of people. Now, this is Friday at 2 o'clock, or actually just before 2 o'clock, more than an hour before the show starts, and the line had already gone all the way down past the convention center and started hooking a left. That's when I knew, holy crap.
And it was cold out.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people here. So those are the 3 stops I made Friday. Now, thank God for Uber because I Ubered in. Then on the way home, I stopped at a few more cocktails after the convention. I'll talk about the convention a little bit later on in the show. But, those are the 3 stops on Friday that I made. I like doing like the three or 4 stops, get a little something here.
A little something at each.
Yeah. It's like the little tour of Providence or something. However, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, Saturday night, I left the convention. It was probably like 8:30. I didn't go to the after party because my ear was bothering me, and I just wanted to get home, get some food in me because I hadn't eaten all day.
That's too bad. You would have been looking forward to that after party.
Well, I went to the Friday night one, and
Okay.
I realized that my ears, I can't do the loud music anymore, and I'll go to the story about that,
Okay.
too. But we went to the Chinese buffet in Cranston. I'm not going to say which one, just in case someone's looking for me. I can't believe I'm going to admit this on the air, but I almost got into a fist fight with a 12-year-old at the buffet.
This is the only reason I'm staying here right now is to hear this story.
I think the only time I almost got in a fist fight at a buffet was with the owners, and that's because they were putting out tofu. I didn't spend $20 to go to a tofu buffet. Like, put something good out.
Well, I was very, very quiet. You know, my wife picked me up because I try not to drive home if I've been drinking,
Right.
whatever.
The legal department here thanks you.
Yes. So we stopped. We sat down, got our soda or whatever. I go up. I'm making my plate at the buffet. Now, I'm not going ham sandwich on this stuff. I'm being, I take 1 or 2 of these, 1 or 2 of those. This little bastard, it's the only way I could put it,
This is going to be good.
jumps in front of me, reaches across what I was trying to get. So I got a spoonful of, let's just say it was like chicken and broccoli.
Right.
This little bastard's chest is on top of the spoon of chicken and broccoli that I have, reaching across to the other side to get the tongs to get a piece of garlic bread. I looked down, I said, you little bastard, why don't you go around the friggin' thing and do it the way you're supposed to? You just ruined all the chicken and broccoli. I can't eat this shit now. Excuse my French, legal department, sorry.
No, shit is not prohibited. Don't worry about it.
So the little kid turns to me and says, why don't you mind your effing business?
Wow.
So I looked down and I said, why don't I just kick your little effing ass? So I knew this kid was not unattended. I knew there was going to be repercussions for this. So I finished making my dish. Obviously, I skipped the chicken and broccoli. I walked over to the table and it's all right. I'm counting down the seconds till the parent arrives. And I see this dude get up. I see the little kid right next to him. I take off my jacket. I put it in the chair. The dude finally realized he's big. So the father looked at me. He gave me a really, like, that stern look.
Yeah.
Then he shook his head and he sat back down. So tragedy averted. I did not get into a fist fight with a 12-year-old. I did not get into a shouting match with a parent. There's nothing worse than getting an irate fat guy at a buffet. If you come at us, we will fight back.
See now, back in my day, not only would have the adult kicked my ass, but then when my parents found out, my parents would have kicked my ass too for swearing at an old a senior and being a prick in public.
Well,
Those days are long gone.
I'm telling you, it's like I did something wrong by telling the kid what he was doing wrong.
Well, he's probably never heard that before.
Which falls into what I'm going to talk about after the music, because we're going to go to a little music right now. We're going to leave here with a little bit of Beyond Blonde, Bare in My Bones. We'll be back in a minute.
Well, I can be a selfish bitch, strong and to the point. I don't think before I speak.
can get this right. This time around, had a premonition, super divination, thinking it's about the time to turn it all around.
All right, my night outers. That was Pariah, the now defunct Pariah. Turn It All Around. Before that, Beyond Blonde, Bearing My Bones. Now, I'm going to switch gears, stop talking about food and fighting with 12-year-olds, and we're going to talk about what I actually did this weekend at Rhode Island Comic-Con, which, you know, being a member of the press.
You made it all 3 days, too,
I
huh?
made it all 3 days.
I did Friday, Sunday. George did Sunday. You held down the fort all weekend.
I held down the fort. I posted videos every couple of hours. I had a blast. Now, being said, there are a few caveats to that. Number one, there were a lot of people that were very upset with the way things were run.
Yeah.
And the reason why I see is because they were upset that the rules actually applied to them.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, and I know, George, this is a point of contention with you with the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
Yeah, like I said,
It was a one-way.
yeah. I mean, I when I mentioned it on Chuckle's show as a complaint, I was half kidding. In other words, I was half kidding, but then the more I thought about it, wait a minute, I'm more serious. Because, I mean, now myself, I mean, you know, I'm not as young as I used to be, but I can still do it.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that has actually, like, you know, like a bad ankle, I mean, think about it, the Dunk Center is a full-sized arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
You're walking
wanted,
the outer perimeter.
they wanted, like Tony said, they wanted everyone to walk the entire outer perimeter of the arena in order to get over the bridge to the hotel and get into the convention center.
Yes.
In other words, no way around it.
Correct.
And, yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that I'm still physically fit enough to do it.
Well, I got bad knees. Tony, I think, blew out a hip.
Yeah, I get a bad knee. Yeah.
So, I mean, can you do it? Yeah. Does it take? Yeah. So you walk slower. We weren't in any rush.
I had to get to work in 3 hours.
Oh, well, you were in a rush.
He sprinted. It's like the gladiator days, like there's a lion chasing him around the...
But what I did, and yeah, I was kind of ticked off too. But you know what? After Friday, I was used to walking around, and I paid attention. If I'm going to the right, it's all right.
Right.
Because that, you know, if you're following the hall and it was going off to the left, you're going the wrong way. But other than that, I mean, a lot of people like, well, the line's just on the other side of that cloth strap. Why don't I just go over? Because if I let you, then I have to let everybody.
Right.
So start marching your ass around the arena to get in the back of that very long line.
Right.
By the time you get there, it probably was gone.
All right. Well, that was another thing too, is the security they had there, and heaven forbid I should bitch about security, moonlighting as a security guard as I do.
True.
But that doesn't stop me from hating security.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean,
especially when the security is kind of too small to actually prevent you.
Yeah. Oh,
and
sure.
the only thing that's preventing you from just kicking the living shit out of them is their assumed authority and your unwillingness to be kicked out of the event.
Well, I didn't want to get kicked out of the event. And yes, granted, I probably could have taken most of the security with me, but there were a few that I did notice were armed.
Yeah,
So,
that can be a difference maker. Yeah.
They were few and far between. Most of them, actually, oddly enough, I have a relative who was a prison guard, and all the ones that were armed were either retired prison guards or actual current prison guards. So they had their concealed carry permit, and they were walking around with, state of Rhode Island jackets on.
Right.
And they were running security for just the celebrities.
And a lot of the minimum wage security guards had been to prison, so they also knew your brother.
Yeah, but none of them talked to me. But that actually brings me up to another point, which was the volunteers who literally went through hell all weekend long. Now, I interviewed Sue Soares, the press relations manager. And she was saying that as long as they worked 6 hours, they could get into the con for the rest of the weekend.
Right.
I was seeing people that literally were there before me, and I'm usually an hour before the VIPs get in is when I get there.
Right.
And these people are already sweating, busting their backside, doing stuff.
Right.
We didn't have any candy to give them this year.
I know. And then on the flip side, at the end of the night, I'm on my way out, and these people are still busting their ass. And they're not getting paid for it. They weren't really getting around the convention at all. They were doing
Right, because that's supposed to be the trade-off. 6
Exactly.
hours for freedom of the convention.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, there were a few people that did actually work their hours and then went about their business. But the people, especially the ones doing line control, trying to keep people organized, getting into the different panels, those people went through hell.
Hell at the hands of the visitors, or hell at the hands of the panelists, or hell? What kind of hell?
Visitors.
Mostly visitors, because,
Okay.
VIPs and press were on one line, general admission were on the other side, and, you're trying to get into this panel, ballroom E, but it's blocking the door over here, so the line started there, then skipped to over here, and
Yep.
by the time they were done, you had to know trigonometry and I don't know, particle physics, in
Quantum
order
physics
to figure out
to get-
how this line was supposed to run, but they were doing it and doing it well. I did a lot of panels, and I got to say, the panels that I went to, out of all of them, I got to say, John Cusack, they did a panel on his body of work, and the one for CCH Pounder were two of my favorites because they were in the smaller room. Very personal, and actually for CCH Pounder, her moderator wasn't there. So she just sat at the table with the microphone in front of her, just like I'm sitting here right now. She folds her hands, very well-spoken, very intelligent woman, and she just says, okay, this is how it's going to work. You're going to ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. She points to someone and says, you, go. It just broke whatever tension was there because, oh my God, it's someone famous.
Right.
And it made for a very enjoyable panel.
Right. And John Cusack too. Huh?
John Cusack was very, very low key, very, I don't want to say not monotone. He was very animated, but he was very
Relaxed.
Yeah, he was very at home doing what he was doing, and he is a total opposite of all of us in this room. Social media, he abhors. Facebook, Twitter, and all that. He doesn't do any of it.
Wow.
because the government gets all your information. So he's like,
I think he's a candidate for something.
Have a talk show for him.
so yeah, he's definitely a candidate for the Haunted Cabaret, at least for at least one or two.
John Cusack was John Cusack the person who starred in the 1996 American version of Godzilla?
I couldn't even tell you. My personal favorite show that he did was Grosse Pointe Blank,
Okay.
followed closely by One Crazy Summer.
Okay.
So, I mean, he has a very large body of work. So does CCH.
Yeah.
But just the panels, the volunteer, I mean, everything went as smoothly as can be expected with the sheer volume of people.
Right.
Because, I mean, it was borderline on getting into a crush situation.
That's when I walked into it. Is when it was there.
Because I know, especially the Weird Al panel started at 2. I got in line at 1:01, and I was still not the first in line.
Wow.
Right.
And by the time the panel actually filled up, it was at Ballroom A, so they had that big queue in the front.
Right.
And then at the end of the queue, it took a left-hand turn if you're looking towards the street, and it went all the way down that aisle. So it was absolutely huge. I don't think there were more than a handful of empty seats at that panel. So that's enough about the panels. I just want to say security and the volunteers did a hell of a job. But we're going to take a break here. We're going to leave here with a little bit of Echoes of Petra. The name of the song is Slap Your Savior. We'll be back in a minute. MyNightOuters. That was Sorrow Seed. Name of that one was Artillery Ghosts. Before that was Echoes of Petra, Slap Your Savior. If you want to get your music on the show, you want to get your information out there, you want to just be part of the show, give me an email, drop me a line at MyNightOutRadio@Verizon.net. Don't forget, I have my Facebook /MyNightOutRadio. Also, I have my Twitter and Instagram open. DJ Psyco Eddie is the one you want to look for that. All your upcoming event needs, MyNightOutRI.com. Now, as I was stumbling through in sheer awe, people watching, by the way, is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
If you have not been to a convention where they really encourage you to come in cosplay or in a costume, it is definitely, this is one that you have to go to see, because there are some costumes that are so spot on, it is amazing. And then there are some costumes that are so wrong, you cannot turn away on a bet, because it's just so horrifying. It's like a train wreck.
Yeah, it's like watching a car accident.
You can't look away from it, but it's beautiful. So I mean, I spent 3 days Now, being the fat bastard I am, walking around for 8 hours at a clip is not really my strong suit.
Not going to work out.
You know, my knees are shot. My back is killing me. I'm just falling apart. I'm an old bastard too now. But I did find out
At least you didn't blow out a hip.
Yeah, and you're what, almost a decade younger than me? Wow, I got stamina. I'm youthful. There are two things that I really, really have to put out there because one of them is just so disturbingly funny. It's called Arsenic Lullabies. The artist Doug Paskowitz. I can't even get into explaining how messed up this guy is in the head. He just, it's one of those where you're like, oh, that's funny. The only thing I could really tell you, and there's two words that will sum up the whole experience with Doug Paskowitz in his books, in his comic books, and that's zombie fetus. If that doesn't entice you to go and check out Arsenic Lullaby, which is the name of his book, his YouTube channel, he does have short videos there. The other part of Doug Paskowitz that you really want to check out, it's because he also is one of the artists, or the artist, on The Tick. So if you're familiar with the TV show,
which has had a few incarnations now, right?
Well, yeah. You had the animated series, you had the Netflix, and then there's another one on Crackler. So there are 3 different incarnations of the Tick in video form, plus the comic book series, plus it's definitely one of those things you just got to check out. But my personal favorite, and I do have a really dark sense of humor, so Arsenic Lullaby, check him out. Definitely want to do that. Now the other one I got to bring up is for the more mature people.
Because nothing says maturity like Rhode Island Comic Con.
Well, there is a New Yorker, native New Yorker, Joseph Michael Lisner. He is an artist. He does a lot of different graphic novels. The one that really drew me to him, and I didn't even realize who he was until I saw the picture behind him. He does the Sinful Susie series, the Dawn series, and he does a few others. Vampirella is another one. He's also worked on the rebirth of Harley Quinn for DC. Conan the Cimarron. I can't even pronounce that word. I'm not even going to try. Again, my personal favorite was the Dawn series. She started off at Cry with the book Cry for Dawn. I actually followed this guy before I even knew who he was because I was looking for a flash or a picture for a tattoo for my back. And he had just this goddess warrior, red-headed goddess warrior named Dawn, and it hit all the right spots for me. He definitely knows how to draw a perfect specimen of a body. And without getting into too much detail, this is the only time I've ever fanboyed. Like, I was stammering, stuttering. I could not get my words out of my mouth to express to this guy how awesome I thought his work was. And, when you stammer and you can't really talk in front of somebody, they look up at you like, all right, you're an idiot. So I just said, thanks, and I walked away. Fortunately, that was on Saturday. So Sunday, after I could regroup myself,
make up for it.
I walked up to him. Fortunately, I did not give him my business card at that point because he would have thrown it away anyways. But once I actually got up to him, told him who I was, I could express to him,
right.
The whole back tattoo story and all that. he finally realized why I was stammering the way I was, and that he appreciated how much of a fan of his work that I was. So by the time I left there, I had 2 sketch pads, an actual book, a comic book, just a whole bunch of his stuff, and he took the time to sign everything that I bought from him.
Wow.
Getting back to the other one with the Arsenic Lullaby, I bought a book off of him as well, but he took the time to actually do a sketch on the back cover.
Wow.
So, yeah, and of course, on the back cover was a zombie fetus. So, these
I'd
are
have
2...
to hook him up with Wolfman Chuck. Sound like those 2 would hit it off.
I think they would hit it off quite well. We're going to take a break here. We're going to go out of here with a little more subdued. We're going to leave here with a little bit of Thayer Cabin. The name of the song is Don't Be Afraid. We'll be back in a minute.
Must have replaced about 100 mirrors
My Night Outers. That was Blindside Thunder. Name of the song was Daddy's Farm. Before that was Thayer Cabin, Don't Be Afraid. Guys, we are out of time. In fact, I'm actually going to have to lose one of the songs I was supposed to play for you. But, again, if you want to be part of the show, MyNightOut Radio at Verizon.net, MyNightOutRI.com, Facebook /MyNightOut, Twitter and Instagram. You can hit me up at DJ Psyco Eddie, and I do have my Twitter and Instagram open during the show. I want to thank everyone at Rhode Island Comic-Con. I had a hell of a weekend. I'm looking forward to next year already. I'm also looking forward to TerraCon and all the other cons that are coming up. So, thanks for listening, everybody. We're going to leave here with a band that I've been listening to for quite a while. In fact, I think he's going to surprise Mr. Jones, too. The Pissed.
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Doesn't ring a bell?
No.
It should, because
I
it's
thought
right
I
to your
knew
sweet-
everything about local music.
No, these guys have been around for quite a while. Oh, 1990s.
It's like Stump the DJ over here. I'm stumped.
Well, here they are, The Pissed, Never Question. Thank you for listening, everybody. And here we go. Pissed.
Maybe this is news to some of you. Perhaps you just forgot. You think we're getting the whole story? I think that we're not. Cause the government manipulates the media in the station. We get only what we're supposed to censor, spoon fed information. Never question everything. The answer's there in both. They think absorbing catalog inside. Don't need to even use your mind. Never question everything. It's written there in both. They think say hallelujah, I believe. Don't challenge what you perceive. Think that it's untrue. Cause you saw it on TV. It's a cavalry messiah. Don't be shit to me. You think that it's a fact. Cause it's there in black and white. There's never any shades of gray within your narrow sight. So never question everything.